Hey, everybody, welcome to episode number 2 of Property Pros. I'm Mark Goldwich.
I'm Peter Laframboy.
We're both public insurance adjusters in Jacksonville, Florida, but we're interested in all things property, and that's why we're doing the Property Pros podcast. Today, we're very happy to have with us Andy Hassan. He's president of Red Stag Contracting. And Andy, tell us about yourself, your company, and what you do.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I guess I'll start off by saying I'm a Jacksonville native, been here in Jacksonville for all of my years, 43. And, we feel real connected to the community, obviously. And I guess the way that I got into the construction industry is that my father's a physician, and in the 80s, he started developing properties really as a necessity for his own clinics, but saw the benefits in doing property development. So he kind of branched out and started doing his own projects. He built some strip malls, started doing some office condos, multi-use medical buildings, things of this nature. And after college, basically I went to work for the arm of his company that did development projects. And we happened to be right in the middle of a office condo development. And I kind of started working as a project manager on a construction site, and we were actually at the time utilizing another contractor to pull the permits and do all that kind of stuff. And since I was working as a project manager, I was getting all the experience in how to build buildings from the ground up. And we just decided that it would benefit us, make things more streamlined if we had a contractor in the family to get in there and do all that stuff ourselves. So I got my contractor's license in 2006, and again was primarily doing only family development stuff. We would go and find a property, start from the ground up, and develop, all different types of projects, medical, multifamily, office condos, mixed use, so on and so forth. In 2012, I also added a roofing license to my contractor's license and changed my company name to what it is now, which is Red Stag Contracting. So that's kind of the short, condensed version. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happened in between 2006 and 2012 that kind of precipitated us, adding roofing to the license. But nowadays, although we do still do some family development stuff, I'm primarily out on my own doing mostly roofing these days, but we still do select development projects and home renovations, new home construction, so on and so forth. But again, we've kind of, moved into the direction of focusing primarily on roofing.
So how long would you say that the roofing has been your primary focus? Because I remember when you and I met, I'm trying to think, was it before or after Hurricane Matthew? And I know that you were still building houses, you're still doing additions and things like that. And I think it's only recently in the last few years that you started to figure out, for you guys, the best fit really is just stay on the exteriors and do these projects that you can get in and out of more quickly.
Well, quite honestly, I mean, I would say the last home renovation I did would have been 2019. That was the last home renovation I did. That was that was somebody who, personal friend that I've known for a long time. And he came to me and said, I want to do this renovation. Could you help me out? And I said, okay, man. I was like, I've got one foot in the door and one foot out, but I'll help you out on this one. And that took, that was a 6 to 8 month project. And over time, I just realized, why am I spending my time doing 8 and 6 month projects where I can go and do, a project for somebody in one day for a roof, for example, and I never have to go inside of their house. It's not really inconveniencing them for more than a day. And it just seems like homeowners are much more happy when you're in and out. So, so it just made sense from a logistical standpoint, for us to, go in that direction and stay out of people's homes.
But you still say you do some construction, some family business, building construction, and I assume that's new construction from the ground up, right?
I have a select group of people that I do work for. Most of it's commercial stuff. Most of it is interior build outs, things of that nature. And these are people that I've known for a really long time. They've given me a lot of work in the past, and they know they can call me. And as long as it's not going to take too much of my time, we'll do it for them. But we also, as I said, I started off in family development stuff. So we have a few projects going on now, that are either in development or that are currently being constructed. We have one that'll be coming online hopefully here in the next year. And that's actually going to be a multi-family apartment complex in the Mandarin area. And that one, I will be the GC on that one. So that'll be, that's me going against my current business model.
I think that was in the works for a while.
It's been in the works for a long time, and as some, as a lot of development projects are. So once that breaks ground, that'll be my probably one long drawn out project that I do every few years. But again, the bread and butter is the roofing industry. I'm also the president of the Northeast Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Association. So I have a lot of ties with a lot of different roofers in town. We've got a great board of guys. There's a lot of larger roofing contractors that are on that board. And, it's really been beneficial to me, as not only as a contractor, but as somebody who, when they got into the roofing industry, was kind of guided by a mentor of mine that, it's really beneficial to join these associations, make friends with other competitors that are in the associations. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a bind and called on one of these guys and said, hey man, I'm in the middle of this job, or one piece of machinery went out on me. I can't find one. Do you have one I could borrow? Sure. Come on and get it. I mean, these kind of things are very important. And, Jacksonville is a weird situation with the roofing industry. There's a lot of areas in Florida, and this is all anecdotal, but Orlando, Tampa, Miami, they're really cutthroat. The competitors are really cutthroat with each other. But for whatever reason, up here in Jacksonville, we got a tight knit group of guys. And although we're competitors, we also try to help each other. We know, competition is kind of the name of the game. So there's no point in getting personal about it. Right. So right. I'm sure you guys experience a little of that in your industry too.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say that the Northeast Florida Roofer and Sheet Metal Association, and you're president. How did that come about? Did you just join as a member, and then over a period of time, you ascended to where you wanted to be in charge of it and volunteer your time and efforts towards it?
Well, Yeah, I mean, kind of that's how it worked. Like I said, I have a good friend of mine. He's older than I am. He's been in the roofing industry for his entire life, and he he is now a outside sales rep for multiple different manufacturers. And I met him through me trying to get some material for a job, and we became friends. And then he just basically kind of guided me in that direction and said, look, you need to join this association. Even though I was a member of the state organization, I wasn't a member of the local. And he said, you need to join this organization, which I did. And then next thing I know, he put my name up without my knowledge to become a member of the board. And I was like, what is this? And but I played along and I said, okay, no problem. And I was on the board for 2 or 3 years, and then they had officer elections, and once again he put my name up there to become an officer. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then what they try to do with the presidency of the association is they kind of just try to move all the officers up year after year, and everybody kind of takes a turn at being president, or those who want to do it. And there's really a core group of guys that are on the board. There's guys on the board that have been on the board for 15 years, and they just stay there because there's not other people trying to move up into it. But what we're trying to accomplish now is, although we value those guys that have been there forever, we want to get some of the younger guys to come in and join and see the benefits of what we're doing. We also do a lot of charity work in the association. So one of the things I'm proud of is I took over the golf tournament about 5 years ago, and my wife Stephanie, who works with me, she's been helping me run it. And since we started running it, we've significantly increased the amount of money that golf tournament earns for the association. And because of that, we've been able to do a lot of charity events. Like there's a VFW building on St. Augustine Road north of Emerson. And not last year, but the year before, on Veterans Day, we re-roofed the entire thing for free. And they were in desperate need of help. So we do projects like that. We do some projects where we renovate or re-roof, I should say, military guys that are disabled and stuff like that. We'll re-roof their homes, things of that nature. So it's rewarding in that aspect as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you guys get to do that. Going back to the association, in the industry here, you're probably familiar with the legislation that's being looked at in Tallahassee. And I saw a feed from one of the hearings, and they had people from the public testifying there in Tallahassee. And there was somebody from a roofing and sheet metal association, it might have been the overall Florida Association, and they were testifying in favor of this legislation, which, there's lots of debate about. Do you know about that? Your position on that?
I know about their position just from what I've read. I gotta make sure that I say correctly what I want to say here. It's weird. There's a couple different factions that I've noticed in the roofing industry, and that is the guys that get the insurance side of it, and that they do that. And then there's the other side that are retail only, and that don't see the insurance side of it, and they don't understand it, and they don't understand why guys like me do it. But then within the insurance side of it, There's the guys that try to do it fairly and honestly and help homeowners out. And then there's the other group that don't really have any kind of concern for anybody except for what their bottom line is. And that's really what this legislation is all about, right? They're trying to get rid of these guys who are going in there and signing homeowners up and then filing lawsuits immediately, regardless of anything else. They got attorneys on the payroll, or they've got attorneys that they work with, and as soon as they get a contract, boom, lawsuit. I just recently spoke with an attorney who is very involved with the FRSA, and I'm trying to get some information out of them as to what exactly the verbiage in the legislation means and how we have to deal with it. But as I was speaking to him, I kind of said what I just said to you guys, and he said, absolutely 100%. That is what this legislation is for. It's to get rid of those guys.
Yeah, in my opinion, I
Excuse me.
but somebody had mentioned to me that the reason that the Florida Roofer Sheet Metal Association would have been behind it was to get rid of competition. And the competition that they're trying to get rid of potentially is the people that just spin off their own little roofing outfit, outsource. This is something you can talk about, Andy. So there are people that consider themselves to be roofers, but they don't hold a license. So they hold themselves out to the public as a roofing contractor, but they're technically just a marketing arm that has to hire a roofer to do all of their work.
Correct. You've seen them. Everybody knows who they are. I'm not going to say any names,
Right.
but there are guys out there. They descend on neighborhoods like locusts. They'll bring a van around, they'll drop off 20 guys, and they'll canvass the neighborhood. And they're essentially, they're marketers, like you said, Peter. They essentially go out there and they get contracts signed. Once the contract is signed, then they get with a roofing contractor, and that guy, it's somebody, I know of one particularly in town, but he signs hundreds of contracts a year with these guys. And the contract with the homeowner is written underneath said company, but the person who pulls the permit and actually does the labor is a completely different company who holds the contractor's license. So one of the provisions in this bill that I was reading kind of does away with that, if I understand it correctly. Meaning, you can't go out and sell a roof to somebody if you're not a roofing contractor. Because if you do, then you're acting in the capacity of a contractor without having a contractor's license. And that kind of behavior has been a felony in Florida for a long time. What they're doing here is they're trying to wrap that up into this industry to get rid of those guys. So people like me are not really affected by it because I hold a contractor's license. I can speak to a homeowner as a contractor, but I can't not have a contractor's license and go talk to a homeowner and tell them, hey, you should get your roof replaced. You have roof damage.
Yeah, I understand that. I actually think there's already, isn't there a division of DPBR or something like that? They're already supposed to legislate that sort of thing, but
DVPR. Yeah, but there's nothing in the law that until now that says I can't go and sell a roof to somebody if I don't have a license. As long as I have whoever's doing the work and pulling the permit have a contractor's license, I could sell whatever I want. But what they're doing here is they're getting rid of those guys as far as an insurance capacity is concerned. I'm assuming that those guys could still go out and sell roofs to a homeowner. They just can't do it in the capacity of, hey, you have roof damage from a storm or something else, and you need to file an insurance claim. And then if you do, we'll do your roof for
Well, hey, Andy, we're coming out of the year of COVID. Tell us how that's impacted your business.
you. Wow. That's kind of a loaded question, because on the one hand, the governor listed the roofing industry as an essential industry, which, if you think about it, it actually makes sense, because the last thing we want is for a hurricane to hit, and then you got roofers who haven't been able to work for 6 months, and half of them have gone under. Now we have a shortage of roofers, and then we get a hurricane where we're needed. So that made sense. So in that capacity, and with all the people staying home and realizing, hey, well, if I'm going to be home for the next 6 months, let's get that project done that I've been putting off. The past year has been bananas as far as like the workload, it just across the board for construction. But that had a very horrible impact, and that was, and if you talk to a manufacturer's rep, he'll tell you the exact date that this occurred. But in March, when they started putting the restrictions down, nobody knew what was going to happen. So all of the corporate people in the distribution companies went into crisis mode. They went into, we're about to have another 2008. So they started buttoning up credit lines to contractors. And for no reason, for example, one of my suppliers shut me down out of the blue. Wasn't delinquent on payments, had no track record of being delinquent on payments, and we were current. And I had to find out what happened, and that's what it was. They just did a blanket shutdown of all these contractors. And the guys like me who called me went, what the hell's going on? And he's like, you basically had to plead your case to the manager of the branch. And then once you talked them out of it, okay, I got it. We'll open you back up. They opened us back up, and then it was contract, order. But at the same time, those corporate people told the local branch guys, don't order the normal material orders you would do on a monthly basis. So they essentially shut down ordering in the month of April, and then May, and then June 15th, the middle of June, all of the distributors realized, oh my God, we're running out of product, and started hammering the manufacturers with orders. End of July 2020, we started getting phone calls from our sales reps at the manufacturers, and they said, we're about to go on allocation. Things are going to get real bad. It'll take us about 8 weeks to get out of it, but it's going to be bad. We are still now dealing with that supply chain issue. It went from me ordering a job on a Friday and having it delivered Monday or Tuesday to me ordering a job on a Friday and getting it 5 weeks later.
Wow.
And that's how it's been since July of last year. I'm finally starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. It's taken me 2 or 3 weeks to get material now instead of 5 or 6 or 7. But, we just adapted, and then, I let my sales guys know, hey, just give the homeowners the expectation of what's really going to happen. Just let them know it's going to take a while to get the material. We're not the only ones. Everybody's in the same boat. There were certain manufacturers that decided, well, rather than go on allocation, we're going to cut down to a couple of colors. We're only going to make this many colors. And it allowed them to keep up with demand, but it very much limited homeowners' color selections. And I didn't want to do that. we're Owens Corning preferred contractors. Their product is made here in Jacksonville in Talleyrand. Their plant is over on Talleyrand. And so I wanted to stay loyal to Owens Corning because they never stopped making their colors. They're still making all of their colors. Yeah, it delayed us, but I didn't have to go to a homeowner and say, hey, look, you got two color choices, black or brown. Pick one or the other. I didn't want to do that to people. So we stuck it out and it worked out for us, and we're starting to kind of come out of it. And the suppliers are telling us that they're seeing themselves coming out of it too. The bad part of it is, though, we had a price increase in February. We had a price increase April 1. I just got notification that we're getting another price increase in May that is going to take effect June 13th. So that's 3 price increases basically in a quarter. And roofing material is going to be the highest price it's ever been in the history of the industry.
Andy, great. That's a lot of really good insights from you. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, just this little tidbit. It's it's something I think about a lot, and that is that I just want the general public to know that the roofing industry has changed a lot over the past, 40, 50 years. There's a stigma attached to roofing companies. I see it all the time. For whatever reason, there's a lack of trust. And I think some of that stems from what we talked about before. Some of these roofing companies that are not really roofers, they're marketing guys like Peter talked about. But also the roofing industry has changed because there's a lot of business people that are getting into the roofing industry now, rather than what I would, put in air quotes as roofers. So I would just tell the general public, the best thing to do is do research. Make sure that the company that you're potentially going to do business with is a business company, that they have all their ducks in a row, they're licensed, they're insured, they've been in business for a while, and that, you can talk to them. And when you talk to the person that you're going to be dealing with, you got to get a warm and fuzzy. You got to feel like you trust them, because at the end of the day, construction industry is all about trust, because the general public does not understand construction. HGTV is fake. Okay. I want to make that very, very clear. It's fake. It's television. What you see on TV is not real. You can't do construction projects that quick. And if you do, it's poor quality. Okay. Don't rely on HGTV for your information. Talk to a professional. Let them explain to you how it's really going to go down. Because if you're using those kind of things as your as your stepping point and your guideline as to what's going to happen, you're going to be very, very disappointed. So, from that standpoint, I just say, it's all about trust. We got to trust that the homeowner is going to pay us. We got to trust that the homeowner is going to be good to work with. And they have to trust us that we're going to do the work, and we're going to do it the way we say we're going to do it. And that's all there is to it.
Well, Andy, thank you very much for being here. You've said it all.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
How would you like people to reach you in the future if they want to contact you?
Well, we do have a website. They can reach us at our office at 904-880-4681. Our website is Red Stag Contracting, redstagcontracting.com. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram, all the social media stuff. Our website is up and running right now, but we're currently working on a new one. So we'll be, putting a new website out there soon, but the website domain will stay the same.
Great. Thanks a lot, Andy. We really appreciate it. that wraps it up here for episode 2 of Property Pros. And you can find us, obviously, anywhere you catch your normal podcasts. And we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, well, next time let's do this in Mexico or something, guys. I mean, you guys need to step up your game a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, take care.
You
All
too.
right, bye-bye.